It is. There's a
'Cause
little tiny visit on my coffee maker too.
Because that's fucking awesome.
All
All right,
right.
now
I'm rocking the shit today.
We're live. Yeah, we're rocking a lot of Niv Mizzet here today.
Yeah,
yes.
well, that's kind of how I live my life.
Yes.
In my craft dungeon. My is it craft dungeon. So.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. I probably should have put the light on the background because I kind of look dark.
Yes, you do, sir. You
What?
look like you're in a cave.
Oh my god, I should have put the light on. Okay, everybody. Joe, entertain people for 3 seconds while I turn the light on.
I still can't see that at all, so
I
you're
can't
very...
either. Yeah, I'm gonna take your word for it, Matt.
Well, again, I have him watching the stream at the same time too, so if something goes wrong, he can point it out to me.
Gotcha.
That's what I keep him around for. Observation.
Ooh.
Indeed.
I'm
right.
Fatball.
So, welcome to Discussing Tabletop, episode 32 for June 10th, 2017. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday, getting ready for a great weekend. Gonna have a lot of tabletop adventures over the weekend. We have a good amount of guests with us today. We have, of course, my returning co-host, Joe. We have our returning champion, John, once again joining us for some insightful YouTube magic-based commentary. And this week we have with us Sydney,
Hello.
Yes, she's also going to be at the Magic art show and GP Vegas. So we do have some things to talk about on that end, and some things to talk about on the Magic end. And some things that neither of them might not know about, except for Joe might know some things, which we'll talk about those, because there's some Dungeon Dragon stuff I want to talk about. We'll see.
Hey, Matt, what does GP stand for?
Grand Prix.
Thank you.
I watched last week's episode with Matt, and I was on the elliptical because I am a white girl, so I run on the elliptical. And I was watching that episode while I was doing it, and I heard you say Grand Prix, and I almost fell off. So.
Oh, he does that in his magic videos all the time. Or not magic videos, but his news videos. The one time he kept switching back and forth between saying Grand Prix and Grand Prix. He made the Grand Prix, blah, 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 the Grand Prix, blah, 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 the Grand Prix. I'm like, just either consistently say it wrong or consistently say it right.
Bless him for trying his best.
I love when he says it wrong now.
That's what they call me in college.
Grand Prix.
I never went to college. 2 times. That's the college joke. 2 times.
Two times. You're going for a trifecta today.
No, we weren't live at that point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I did do it about 2 seconds ago. So.
That makes me think of the one Magic game that we had. I don't think you were actually there, Matt, but we all gave each other kind of adultish names.
Oh God.
And
I've heard this story.
I was the master of baits. We had another friend who was the prince of positions.
This is a whole other kind of show. This is like the after hours. Discussing Tabletop.
There was some interesting names. I won't go into all of them because some of them get even a lot worse. I'll be nice and hold myself back today.
This is what happens when Matt says, "Hey, Joe, entertain the folks."
Look, I say Joe entertain the folks, and things go crazy. Anyway, so this week I do want to talk about, because it is a big event, and we have, well, someone who's in Vegas and someone that's going there, talk about GP Vegas a little bit more. I do want to talk a little bit more about the art show. For Magic, because we did talk about, the technical aspects of it a little bit last week. I do want to talk about, what kind of art is going to be there a little bit more and reflect on Magic art.
I actually got that information. MJ, sent me over the whole file, so I'm actually in the know now. I feel all, official and stuff.
Wow. Official. Then I do want to talk about Nicol, Bolas, Archenemy, because I was reluctant about Archenemy because I bought the stuff for it, but we never actually played it really a lot, and this looks like they're actually taking it in an interesting direction. Moving on, I do have two different topics in Dungeons & Dragons. I've got the Stream of Annihilation, which me and Joe will probably gush over some things from that a little bit, and then the unearthed arcana, which we always like discussing. And finally, we'll all talk about Unlocked the Escape Adventures, a card game which I didn't even know we were going to an escape room yesterday, me and Joe, and totally it's a card game based on escape rooms. So
Nice.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Well, exactly, because I knew 2 of those things.
Anyway, why don't we start with talking about GP Vegas a little bit here? Since we'll probably have Sydney, you'll talk a lot more with the art show and stuff. Why don't we have you, John, start talk? Have you experienced a Vegas before it, going to a GP or not, or what's going on with your experience with it?
Oh, unfortunately, I experience Vegas every day because it's my life. Yeah, I'm here, so it's going to be nice to have all the content creators and cosplayers and everyone come down to my house. It's going to be a nice balmy 120 degrees, I'm sure. But yeah, I did get to go a couple years back when the first Modern Masters came out. It's nuts, man. It's like it's Magic Woodstock. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to be participating in any of the events, and unfortunately, I'm only going to be there Wednesday, so which sucks because that's like the first day and no one's going. But EDC, if anyone is in the know, it's Electric Daisy something or other. It's like a big rave. That also always happens at the same time. So Vegas is going to be packed for that, and my real job, I'm going to have to do that. But yeah, GP Vegas is going to be sweet. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be the first time there is this giant art show, right?
Yep, first time. This is like the ship idea.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm super looking forward to that. Enough to where I think I'm going to sneak out and, Thursday morning a little bit. Not to name drop or anything, but I have a little show called The Hive Mind, and I just had Magic Man Sanum on Friday, and he's going to be there with Scott Lindemann, so I'm going to hang out with him and try, with the art show. And that's it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of big events for standard and limited and legacy and modern, and it's if you ever want to sit down and rub elbows with the pros and the other YouTube content creators, now is the time.
Ooh, great way of saying it. So why don't we move on to Sydney? Do you have a lot of experience with GP Vegas or GPs in general?
I've never been to GP Vegas at all. I totally got like. It's like completely surreal, the fact that this whole thing has happened. Because one, it's amazing that MJ and the guys doing the art show like got this thing together. So like that, it is just insane. It's just so cool that this is happening in the first place. And I know Matt was like gushing to this same thing, but I totally actually got dragged in. I'm completely Matt's fault. So Matt and Jin were the ones who dragged me in here. I met them last year at Gen Con because both Jin and I made that stupid Jace coat from the Unraveler of Secrets Jace coat, which actually is like right behind me over there. So that it doesn't get wrinkly because I hate ironing my costumes. That's like my least favorite thing. So yeah, we met because we were both, we were both wearing the same costume. Obviously Matt was wearing it and I was wearing mine. And we were like just chillaxing, and we were in these outfits talking about how much we hated them and how much we hated making them. And how Matt almost died in his, and how I was slowly dying in mine. So, I mean, it was a bonding experience. So, that's actually how I got involved in this. I haven't been able to see Matt and Jin since Gen Con, and I was like, so, you guys going to Gen Con again? Because we want to go, let's hang out. I party, like, every night of every time I go anywhere. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And they're like, oh, we're not going to Gen Con. And I was like, what? No! And they're like, oh, well, we're going to Vegas, so come to Vegas with us. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a bad idea. So I could probably do that. And then suddenly I'm like in this thing, and they're like, oh, you have cosplays, you're gonna do this thing. And I was like, what am I doing? Okay. Like, and it's, I mean, that's kind of how this whole thing happened. It just grew like this, like MJ is just like the best organized, nicest like amoeba ever to exist. Like, she just kind of like goes around and just like phagocytizes everything, and suddenly we're all like in this giant like odd biological metaphor that I just made up. I mean, and the coolest thing is I go to a lot of conventions, so I'm a little less familiar with the huge GPs. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm like in the middle of nothing. I have a lot of beer around me because I live in Wisconsin, but that's about
yes.
Beer and cheese. So we got
Yes.
not a bad life, but again, I mean Chicago. I'm in like Chicago's redheaded stepchild city, so it is what it is. And I went to Milwaukee this year, which I think was Pro Tour actually. The one in Milwaukee way earlier this year because it was cold because I wore Jace and I was like, yeah, it's cold, so I'm actually like okay. And it was decently sized. There was artists there, and it was really cool. But I mean, it's nothing to the scale of Vegas in any way, and I'm obviously acknowledging that. I was gonna go to a few more events 2 years ago when I first made Nahiri, when I made Harbinger Nahiri. But then I got hit by a car and I was in the hospital for like a month and a half, so that didn't work out. But, I mean, it's neither here nor there. But I'm so incredibly excited about Vegas. Just, like, the team that we have coming through, it's amazing. And I cannot accurately explain how excited I am to, like, one, be a part of it, and two, just explain how amazing it is to work with these people, and everyone is just like friends. Like, everyone just came together. There's been no drama. Everyone is, oh, let me help you with that, and how can I do this, and I think you should do it this way. And it's just, it's this amazing collaboration that I've been parts of huge collaborations before, whether it's in terms of, like, actually, like, convention planning. I've planned a few conventions and run some locally and around. And just in terms of media coverage, and just, there's just nothing. Everyone is somehow, it's just this amazing synchronicity that somehow just works. And I'm probably just gonna like cry like an idiot when I get there because I'm gonna be so happy. Somebody's gonna hand me a beer and I'm gonna be like sobbing with a beer and Jace, and it'll probably be very accurate in character because I'll just be whining in Jace, so it's probably good.
Are you gonna be there on Wednesday?
I am not, unfortunately. My muggle has me, yeah. So I think that was honestly probably one of the hardest things, is because GP Vegas is so huge and they're doing the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like 5 days, so many of us can't go that long. Like, I'm stuck at Muggle Job. I actually am working a half day on Thursday, and then we're driving to Chicago and flying out.
So you hear that, everyone? I will be by myself at GP Vegas on Wednesday. So
I'm probably passed out drunk at some point.
Right, yeah.
We shared it around on Twitter a while back, but we do have the cosplayer schedule out in association with the art show, and we do have it stacked. Like, there's going to be people there. It's just not going to be me, so it's going to be somebody else.
You won't be by yourself, you just be mostly by yourself.
Yeah. Well, apparently I won't have a drinking buddy, so that sucks.
You'll find a drinking buddy. I'll show you. There's plenty of people to bond with.
I have a feeling you can probably find somebody.
Yeah, it's Vegas in general. You'll find someone to drink with.
No, I'm depressed. This interview's over.
Just go to Coyote Ugly in New York. I'll recommend that bar.
You can make a call for me, Joe?
No, I can't make a call, but I recommend that bar because that place was awesome when I went.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I live here, and I don't know that, so very nice.
Okay. All right, so why don't we, though, move on, and I did want to cover, because we did talk about a little bit of the, like, setup of the art show last week. I do want to talk a little bit about, like, the art side, which we dived a little bit into it, but I do want to expand this not just to the art show, but magic art in general a little bit more, because it's a topic that me and Joe have liked to gush on about for the last couple of, like, most of these episodes. We continuously say we enjoy the direction that Magic has taken its artwork, and it always seems to be, like, excellent improving.
Yeah.
So, we did hear that it was supposed to be, like, separated by planes from Matt.
So, yep, Matt, I think, I watched the bit that Matt did last week. So, yes, it's going to be, Mirrodin and Phyrexia, I think, are kind of mashed together, and then, obviously, they kind of are. Innistrad, Ravnica, and Amonkhet. I do actually have, MJ sent me a list of all the pieces that are actually going to be in there in some fashion, but I don't think everybody just wants me to, like, read it off. That would be, I mean, the amount of stuff that is going to be here is amazing, and then obviously the cosplayers are going to be intermittent, and so I'm excited because I'm just going to get to see all this stuff too, so I don't have to wait in the line, so that's really nice. But, I mean, we have things, like, very iconic things per the planes that they're in. Like, I believe for the Ravnica planes, we have most of the excuse me, I just, I have it on. Phone, stop flipping around. I mean, I believe we have most of, like the guild signets are all in here. We have just, I'm really excited to see the Atraxa piece too, because that's going to be there, because the Atraxa was just a gorgeous design. So I'm really stoked about that. And I mean, like, I'm scrolling through this, guys, and it's, I mean, it's, I can't, I mean, you can't see it on my phone, but I mean, it's taking me this long to just scroll through how many of these are here.
Do you have any spoilers of, like, who's gonna be who, or?
In terms of cosplayers, or?
Yeah.
I do. We have on Twitter around, is the entire list of when we're going to have things scheduled. So, like, if you want to see a particular cosplayer at a certain time, you can just go there while that person's around. And, I mean, we're going to be walking around for the most part. I know for a fact that I'm just going to, both my costumes, I'm lucky enough to not have to wear heels in either of my costumes, because I'm going to be Nahiri on Friday, and I'm going to be Jace on Saturday. So it's very nice that I don't have to wear heels. Although Jason heels would be kind of hilarious. I should bring, like, a giant pair of blue pumps and just walk around as Jason, like, 6-inch pumps. And I bet people would just be like, it's Vegas. But, I mean, we'll be walking around and doing stuff just in general. So, I mean, generally, if you ever see a cosplayer and you want a picture with them and you want to chit-chat with them, as long as you're not, like, weird about it, as long as you respect the fact that we're human beings and we generally don't want to be touched because we're in very nice, very, like, specific costumes that we've created to look that way. I mean, I will talk for hours to, like, anyone who wants to talk to me. That's why Jen and Matt and I are friends. So, but in general that way. We'll be around. So I believe we have most of the big bases covered, I think, in terms of cosplayers. I don't have the cosplay list in front of me right now, but I think we might not have a Gideon, but I think we have the rest of the Gatewatch for sure. Matt's going to be Jace. I'm going to be Jace. We have a few crossovers. Obviously, a lot of the girls have Liliana and Nissa. I think they're going to have some of the Origins ones, too. I think some of the younger Planeswalkers are going to make an appearance. They might be there earlier, too, so that might be something you'll see on Wednesday. But anyway, if you want to see that, it is on the Twitter. The Magic Art Show has a Twitter, so you can follow them, and they have a good stream of things that they're keeping everybody kind of updated on. So that should be... Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, I'm glad I'm doing this, because otherwise I'd probably just be talking to, like, random people on the streets as I, like, wandered around, like... Do you know I get to dress up from Magic the Gathering and do this thing? And they'd be like, okay, girl, please.
They might pay you to go away, though, which you could earn some money that way.
Maybe. Isn't that blackmail, though? I'm like, if you give me $5, I'll see you.
I'll stop talking to you if you give me money.
It's called extort. It's a gate Orzhov mechanic.
Yes, it is.
I know a lot about that.
It is a fact. As far as other art pieces that I'm, like, personally really psyched to see, we're gonna have Memnarch there, which is, like, awesome. So I'm really excited. Just Memnarch was, like, my first asshole deck that I made. So that was my first asshole deck in college. We're gonna have Sword of Fire and Ice and Sword of Light and Shadow. So again, I'm kind of rocking the Is It representation, so I gotta rock the Sophie. So
Nice.
I mean, it's gonna be just incredibly cool. Just because, I mean, you can't really, I mean, obviously you can appreciate beautiful art when you're seeing it on the Magic card, but, I mean, like, the Nicol Bolas Archenemy, I mean, Chris Ron did that on, it's a huge piece of plywood. I don't have the dimensions off the top of my head, but, I mean, the thing is massive, and it's going on a card this big. Yeah. So it's going to be so, I think so many people are just going to be blown away at the art show seeing the size of what these pieces actually look like, and just you'll be able to see brush strokes, and a lot of these, I think a lot of people have the assumption that so many people work digitally these days, because I mean a lot of people do, which is fair, but so many of the Magic pieces too are still done in like Steve Argyle works beautifully in oil, and I mean he's just a delightful human being in general, but he's so talented and he works in these, like, just these really just tried and true methods. And again, some of again, follow the Magic Art Show on Twitter, because they've been sharing these and reblogging other pertinent information. But just, you can see the unboxing of some of these things, and I speak with my hands all the time, if you can't tell, because I'm like flailing around here. I've had a lot of coffee too, so I'm about halfway through my first pot of coffee. So I'm so excited in terms of some of these things. I mean, you can see people unboxing things, and I mean, it's like a 5-foot slab of stuff, and we're gonna have some of the maquettes, which are the like little statuettes that artists use to get like a 3-dimensional idea for things. So that'll be really cool. I just think it's going to be a very interesting thing, because I mean, obviously we have people like you guys have always said, the magic art is so much a part of why you like magic, and I think everybody appreciates it on a level, but sometimes people kind of do not take it for granted so much, but they don't necessarily have the scope or the idea of how much actually goes into any given piece. So I think this is going to be a really, really cool opportunity for somebody to be able to see that and to kind of have this holy shit moment of that giant picture hanging on the wall is in my pocket, like in my deck. So
yeah, definitely. And the thing is, like, a lot of times when you'll see, like, they'll have card art, and then they'll have, like, maybe, like, a placemat or a poster or something, and you could see how much bigger whatever it was, especially when it's, like, one of the iconic characters. Like when you see, like, the Nicol Bolas on, like, his Planeswalker card, and they show you, like, the full, like, art of it, and there's, like, stuff in the background and going on, and you're like, oh, wow. It's, like, so... And you could realize how much bigger, like, these original art is, and then they just crop it down to something really... relatively... the important part of it, we call it, but it's still, like, cropped down, nonetheless, from this big thing people have put together.
Yeah.
Well, plus it's such a good marriage, because there's so much push on the story, right? Like, there's a weekly, you know, story article on WotC, and there's always this, that, and the other thing. So this is going to be a nice thing to see all these story pieces, like, in real life. So that's exciting.
And it's kind of cool too, because like with the example of Amonkhet, we're still kind of knee deep in that whole story. So yeah, it'll be really cool to see all those things. I'm just, again, I'm totally just like rocking the white girl flag, because everything is really cool, and I'm really excited, and I am just so happy to be a part of this in every way. So.
And you did that without saying like.
Oh, no, really? Oh, that was the worst impression ever then. Like, what was I doing?
You had one job, Sydney.
I know!
You had one job.
Fail.
Single job. Almost got it right. Almost. So close. So close.
Like 90%?
So yeah, so the Magic Art Show, it will be at GP Vegas, and I guess it's going over all the days of it. It'll be going on?
Yes, it will be all the days. So all the art is going to be there the whole time. So the only thing, I mean, obviously, I would probably want to go there multiple times, because if you've ever, I don't know for the average person if just the amount of more, exactly like what you guys said, there's so much more detail, and just in terms of the size, it is cropped, so there's so much more to see, and to see it something that closely. I mean, people, if you've ever seen Ferris Bueller, where they're staring at, like, the afternoon on Le Grand Jatte in the Chicago Art Museum, and they're just staring at it for, like, hours. And people actually do that in art museums, because it is kind of overwhelming to see the actual piece, which is just so cool, because there's one thing to be said about having, like, one of Steve Argyle's giant prints. Perfect. Amazing. I have quite a few of his. Like, I have Jace's, oh gosh, what's the big one with Jace where he's surrounded by all the water and stuff?
Omniscience?
Something like that. I don't know. I'm saying the wrong thing. God, I am such a fake geek girl, you guys. Oh, so, but I have that on you know, something. I got it from Matt. I have it on my wall upstairs. But getting to see the copy, like the original copy, I really think that people are maybe going to anticipate that they're just going to be able to be like, boop, 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 going through, spending like 20 minutes to go through the whole thing. But I think that if you're setting aside time to do it, give yourself time to just like fucking give yourself time to sit in front of something and stare at it, because I think you're going to want to. So. There's my PSA.
Yep.
Yes, it is going on all of the days. And then, obviously, the cosplayers are scheduled intermittently. As far as other, like, crafty things, I'm going to just shamelessly pimp our panels, too. The cosplayers and our team, actually, we're going to be doing 3 different panels about kind of cosplay on various levels. So the first panel is on Thursday. I won't be on that one, obviously, because I'm not getting in until late on Thursday. Is going to be kind of a cosplay 101, so just kind of a general, this is kind of how cosplay works, this is where you can start, this is the kind of what you should be expecting to get into it. And then on Friday and Saturday, we're going to be doing some more technical and like some kind of more advanced things. We're doing one on like prop work and armor making. So if you have any questions about how you use the weird thermoplastics or how to work LEDs into like your Nissa staff or something like that, that's going to be there. And then on, I believe that's Friday, and then Saturday is like sewing crafty kind of textiles and stuff. Don't quote me on that, though. Definitely check out the actual schedule. Don't listen to me. I'm only a pot of coffee into my day, and I closed the bar last night. So I wouldn't take anything I say at, like, absolutely face value. Except the artwork that I said was going to be there, because that I actually had a list from MJ. So.
That's one of those things about, like, the GP, especially Vegas. It's much more of a convention rather than a tournament, which I think is an interesting evolution of, like, Magic in itself, because if you think about it at its core, it was really more of like it's a tournament event. Yeah. But when you have like panels and stuff at the side and it's like a big multi-day event, it feels like a big like Magic convention instead. So that's why I feel it's so interesting.
I'm really excited to see this kind of come together in this fusion, because I think that's really good. I think that anytime you combine something, you're going to get something that's not really entirely like A or B, but you're going to get this amazing C that you just made. And I think that's really good, because not only do you get something new for everybody, but you also get people who would never really go to a convention, but they're still exposed to this kind of environment, and vice versa. You get people who only go to conventions who are like, I don't really want to play competitive Magic, not sure how I feel about that, but because they're there for the cosplay or for the art, they might be tempted to give the other side of it a try. So anytime people, I think, are exposed to things that they wouldn't maybe normally do is generally a good thing. I think everyone can get out of, their normal everyday thing for a little while. So
and just to piggyback on what you're saying too, it's like if you enjoy just play, like competitive play, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be sitting down with pros. You're gonna be able to pick the pros' brains. You're going to be able to play against them. If you're there for, the artwork, we just went over that. If you're there just to meet other content creators, just like you like the entertainment side of Magic, like the YouTube content creators, there's that. So it really is the mecca of, it's not just a tournament at all. It's become this thing. It's basically like a Gen Con or a Comic Con of Magic. That's what GP Vegas has become.
Yeah, it's definitely really cool. And it does make me want to be like, one of the years in the future, I definitely want to try to like pop in by there, when I finally can again, someday, pop in there and join people. But, all right, why don't we move on, because apparently we could talk about this all day. Why don't we talk a little bit about Archenemy Nicol Bolas, because I do want to discuss this. So, first thing is, if you aren't unsure about what Archenemy was for Magic the Gathering, it was a format that they did one set on back years ago, where it was basically Archenemy decks. You buy a deck, and the way Archenemy worked is it was everyone versus one. And the way to win this was there was a special deck of cards called Archenemy cards that were larger cards. If you've seen Plane Chase deck, it's about the size of Plane Chase cards.
They're like the oversized
oversized commanders.
Cards, yeah, the commander cards.
Yeah. So yeah, it's oversized cards that you would flip them over. The Archenemy would get one each turn and have special abilities that would activate. It was interesting, but I never really dove into it. Now they've updated it with Hormone Cut coming out and Hours of Devastation. They're like, Archenemy Nicol Bolas. This makes sense. So the first thing that I can notice about this is it's a single box. You get everything in one. You get 3 decks that go against it, plus the Nicol Bolas deck and the Archenemy cards that go against it. So it's like the product's all in one. That's kind of cool. They've changed the rules of Archenemy a little bit. That it used to be that it was pretty much all the people for themselves. Now they work together to block, you know, defend and attack together kind of thing, you know, which is cool. That's actually probably really good. And it makes it that the people going against the Archenemy are a little more united front, because there always felt like there was a little bit of unfair advantage on one side. And, I mean, I've been checking out some of the Archenemy cards for Nicol Bolas, and they're pretty ridiculous anyway. For the ones I remember before. I would have to, like, pull out my old Archenemy cards and be like, oh, look at these. Because I got all of them, and it was pretty awesome. Here, there's a... Let me link this in chat, because I can link stuff in chat. Because I'm allowed to.
Because you're special.
Well, Nightbot won't yell at me, because I have to program it to yell less at people.
I'll just pimp slap Nightbot if it yells at me.
You're a moderator, so you think... Or are you no longer... Yeah, you're a moderator, so I think it won't yell at you.
Okay.
I gave you the power.
Well, then I don't have to pimp slap it.
I gave you the power!
I have the power!
Okay, He-Man references
moderation.
Aside. Yes. He-Man references aside. So, apparently it's effectively 4 Planeswalker decks. There's the Nicol Bolas deck, and then the 3 going against it, Gideon, Chandra, and Nisa. And, I mean, the decks look pretty interesting. They'd have them up on Wizard's site. And, again, as I said, the Archenemy cards, the art on it's awesome, I do have to say, for this one. You know, like, the entire, like, art scheme for all of it is very, very epic on a scale, you know.
I love how, too, since we were just talking about how the Magic art kind of incorporates into the game, the art was done where all of the Planeswalkers do actually exist on the same, like, in the same scope. You can lay them next to each other, and they actually do all connect, which is really cool. So it definitely adds to that kind of feeling of a united front against one person instead of 3 people kind of on their own against one person.
And I do like I've seen the big picture, and it's got like the shadow of Nicol Bolas' horns above them too. You can't see it unless you have like the big picture of it, but it's just so like epic, you know.
It's definitely on a big scale. It's very cool.
This is probably my favorite depiction of Nicol Bolas too. Like, Chris Ron is such a master, and this Planeswalkers card is very, very attractive looking.
Yeah.
Yes. And it
like
is,
one of the sweetest people ever.
Yeah.
So. In addition to insanely talented.
I mean, it's a nice touch because you don't always get that for every card, but it's like the little details of where it's like emerging from the card, like Nicol Bolas' horns are going up into like where it says Planeswalker, you know, it's like something like that, those little things like that make it almost feel like it's emerging a little bit more. I do like a lot. Nah, and like he has such great depictions on all like the cards that he's on too for all the Archenemy cards. They really just have some like great pictures of like him being very like, I'm the supervillain, ha ha ha, you know, because he kind of is like, he's a very traditional supervillain in a way, you know. Just the thing is, I always like the character of Nicol Bolas because he's not really evil for evil's sake. He just wants what he wants and doesn't care about what he does to get it, you know. He's the kind of villain you always kind of like. You always kind of want to like a little bit because he's like that. You know, it's just like.
Also, he's like a big Jaimondo dragon, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, you know. He is.
I'm
effect.
I'm such an old guy, and I love the lore. So anything that still harkens back to like, that's why I love Nicol Bolas and Karn, because I think, in my opinion, if we ever get a Magic movie, and this is an ongoing theme of my life, we got it. Ooh, excuse me. If we ever get this Magic movie going, I would much rather see the Weatherlight Saga than the Gatewatch.
Yes!
Like,
oh my god!
Hands down. Like,
Weatherlight the entire way.
Yeah, the Weatherlight
we need
was
Gerard Capuchin and Provax and Karn and all this stuff. Who gives a bleep blop about the damn Gatewatch? Like, we have the Avengers.
The Justice
We don't
League.
need the Gatewatch. All right, we need to see these people. So Nicol Bolas is such a cool old school like villain, and he has his hands in the mashed potatoes of all the other things that's going on as far as everything that's going on in Phyrexia. You know, it's just. Can we just please get this going? Like, I will start a Kickstarter, and I will get very talented people involved, like Sydney over here, and we will make this movie happen.
It's really just because I agree with you on the weather light, because that would be awesome. I mean, I like the Gatewatch, and I think I totally understand why it is the way it is, because it totally fits in with just the general, like, milieu of what is going on in terms of just, like, the fact that every other weekend there's a new superhero movie. I can totally see why it exists this way, and it's kind of a very obvious, like, it's a very parsimonious way for everything to come together, and I have a lot of respect for the way that the living story kind of flows because of that. I am a little bit worried about everybody just kind of getting a little bit sick of 5 characters, though. So I'm thinking, like, if Wizards can, and I mean, I have faith in them that they can do this, but this is kind of what I'm, like, it's going to have to kind of move past this where it's going to have to do it's going to have to do like a superhero comic book thing where you have, yes, the Justice League, the Justice League, and you have them, and they're all hanging out, but then you also have individual adventures from people, and you also are incorporating new characters. So, like, you know, maybe down the line we can see, like, what Saheela's doing again, or after a while, maybe Nahiri's still killing vampires, and we have to go back and do that. But it's never, at some point you're going to have to break up, like, the golden, like, quintuple of people and have, you know, whatever. But, I mean, we're getting into story stuff right now, but I could talk lore for forever because I am incredibly old school Vorthos. So.
Oh my god, that's why I do lore videos on my channel, because I love it so much. though I always have to worry about the updates, because as soon as like this set come out, I'm like, I did a Nicol Bolas video like months ago. I can't update it now. God damn it.
Yeah. But I am really looking forward to the new Archenemy. We did play a fair bit of the old one. I have a friend. We have a friend who we jokingly call him, like, the king of games, because he likes Yu-Gi-Oh! And then we got him into Magic, which was kind of a mistake. Like, it was good, because then we didn't have to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I tried to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Once. I got so mad. I just, like, started drinking, and I'm like, how do I draw cards? He's like, you can't. I was like, well, but how do I draw cards, though? And he's like, you can't. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to drink then. He's like, no, just play the game. I'm like, I don't like this game! I want cards, damn it!
More cards!
That was my ill-fated attempt at playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And learning how to do it. And I'm like, also, this is not like the movie at all. Like, or the show. But, so we got him into Magic, and that was, again, a mistake, because he's better than everybody else at Magic. Like, he's the king of games. That's how he is. Mostly just because a lot of us, like, we don't pay nearly as much attention when we're playing casually among our friends. Like, I'm just like, hey, what did everybody do Tuesday? And somebody's like, Sydney, 3 damage. And I'm like, oh, what? Yeah, sure, I'll take 3 damage. But what did you do yesterday? Like, and I'm always drinking when I'm playing Magic, too, and he doesn't drink, so that's part of the other problem, probably. But anyway, on to the actual topic. Archenemy is so nice because then nobody's afraid to play against David, because we can all play against David, rather than, like, David kind of having, like, when we draft, nobody wants to sit by this kid. Like, nobody wants to sit by David, because, and he's not even a dick about it, too. He's infuriatingly nice about it, which almost makes it harder, because then you can't even get mad at him for winning every single time, because he's, like, the nicest dude. So, really fun to kind of do these Archenemy kind of setups, because especially when you have people who are new to Magic and they're not quite so confident in their choices when they play cards, it's a lot easier to be like, hey, which order should I play these? Like, first main phase or second main phase? And then it's a lot easier to ask the person who you're playing with against somebody than to ask, you know, obviously if you're playing with your friends over the kitchen table, you should probably be able to ask your friends what you're doing in Magic anyway. But it's a lot more conducive to that kind of thing. And I mean, there's so many other board games and card games right now that are kind of moving towards that cooperative thing. So I think this is I'm glad to see it come back. That was a very, very long-winded story, but that was my story, so.
No. So my first introduction to Archenemy was actually on Duels of the Planeswalker on Xbox, which actually got me back into the game after I quit so long ago. So that was nice. But it is a ton of fun. Now, strictly going from like a financial standpoint, there is not a lot of dollars that you're going to be opening in one of these things. So you're really just going to be wanting to do it for the fun. I mean, there is like Baleful Strix. There's some, I think there's that Dualcaster Mage from one of the commander sets. It was like the red Snapcaster. You're going to get those alternate art Planeswalkers, which is cool. but you're really going to want to open this for the love of playing this kind of thing. It's not, you're not going to open it and make money. You're not going to be able to flip it and, you know, for a ton of value from, you know, just speaking from like a Magic Finance kind of area. But, you know, it's a passion piece project. I'm glad that it exists. But, you know, like I said, it's a lot of fun on duels because you could actually play it makes it fun to play the computer, or it makes it like you want to throw your controller across the damn room because they always top deck like the best damn thing, and it was very frustrating. But I like the aspect of being able to work together more cooperatively, like I think Matt said. And there's a pretty cool video on Command Cast. They do it with where Gavin Verhey is Nicol Bolas, and he's playing against the guys. So if you want to see it in action, this particular set, that's a good place to start. But yeah, it's a great product, but don't open it expecting to, you know, buy a house off of it.
Yeah, I think there was one of the like a video linked to a Nicol, like using the Archenemy Nicol Bolas on the preview on Wizard's site, on Matsu's site. So, yeah, man. And it's supposed to only be 60. Well, theoretically.
Thanks.
The thing about that is you have to consider the last Archenemy, I think, was 4 decks, which were each around like 20, 25, which are around like what the commanders are. Like if you look at the cards list for Nicol Bolas, he has a lot of rares in his card set. And I'm assuming it's, I haven't looked through the card sets for all of them, but I'm assuming it's the same for all of them. So you're getting a whole bunch of rares, you're getting 4 decks, you're getting the Archenemy cards. It's not a bad value in comparison to some of the things you could get with this, you know. Some of the price points you can find, sometimes it's sort of like, eh? I'm always a little like, some of the things I'm skeptical of, definitely. Wizards, you got me skeptical of you occasionally. I never know what you're going to do.
Skepticism is always good.
I think we were talking about... Yeah.
And now there's me, and I'm, like, terrible with money, so I already, like, have it pre-ordered. I haven't even looked at the card list yet. I just want it because the art's pretty, and I have $60 to spend on Magic, so here you go. Take my money. Like, that's how I live my life.
I'm sorry if I do end up getting it at some point in time. I will probably do what I do best with most of the products I get: gut them for cards and then put the rest in binders.
Yeah, I just why Magic cards are like sitting around in like boxes right now. I couldn't even tell you maybe where they are.
Because basically, you know, unfortunately, it's a fun thing, and it's a fun thing for like a week or two. But there's not a lot. There's not like updates. It's not like, you know, Cards Against Humanity, where you're gonna get like updates on your Archenemy Nicol Bolas deck. So like I said, it's great and it's a fun 2 weeks or so. But then you're gonna play EDH. So
well, no, that's what then I will do is I will take my old Archenemy deck, combine it with the Nicol Bolas Archenemy, like the Archenemy cards, make
Archerous enemy.
Make some kind of other, and then just choose a random deck to work with that works along with whatever put together. Because that's what I did with the Archenemy cards the first time. I took all the ones that would fit with any general deck I played, and skipped out all the ones that were specifically like, oh, you need these colors or something, and I'm like, no, screw those. I'm gonna only have the ones that work.
Yeah, I think we did that quite a bit, again, like, because we were just filthy casuals. So what we did with the old Archenemy cards is kind of exactly like what Matt's talking about here. So we kind of pilfered the Archenemy cards that would work with anybody's deck, and then basically for the people who had, like, you know, just 60 card decks that were that worked with it sitting around, we just let people roll dice, and then you just had to pick a random deck and play it. And then obviously the person who we chose who was the Archenemy and who was playing against them. But it was kind of a little bit more randomized that way, because generally the cards. And then sometimes we throw Plane Chase in there too, because as
Plane Chase rules.
As you should.
Everybody does. So we would just throw the Plane Chase cards in there too.
More Planes Chase Magic. We want more Planes Chase.
Everyone wants more Plane Chase. I don't think I've actually. Well, no, I have met a person who was like, "I hate Plane Chase. It's stupid. I'm not friends with them anymore." So that's, you know.
Plane Chase is awesome because random shit is fun.
Chaos rules.
Agreed. As I sit here in my Is It Glory, yes, chaos.
Does that mean order drools?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Order does, in fact, drool.
Order,
I don't know,
you got to get yourself in line.
Being a black white mage myself, order serves its purpose. If you know,
drool. Its purpose is to drool.
That's right.
I thought its purpose was to get you life so you could sacrifice it to things, because that's the way I always play black white.
That's right. Yeah, it's subjugation, right?
It's
see, every black white deck I play is death and taxes. So
as it should be.
Obviously, I do like black white for as much as I'm talking about. Like, I'm so terrible at playing red. I am actually really bad at I'm actually really bad at like making aggressive choices. I much rather prefer to play decks where I can just kind of like chill and sit in the back and like raise my pillow fort and then suddenly like knock it over and kill somebody. And then usually I die the next turn because I'm an idiot. But
Joe can attest to my red decks. I've got some pretty mean ones. My straight red deck, which started out with just sort of really good red decks, somehow became like a dragon red deck. But then again, since I play Legacy, then it's also got an Eldrazi Conscription in there, so now I have Eldrazi Dragon coming at you because I'm mean.
Yeah, my friends made me like play Gruul once just because they were like, let's make Sydney play green red and see like what happens, because I'm actually a decent Magic player for about like 3 games. Like I've got my head in the game for like, if I can actually concentrate on what I'm doing and I'm actually trying, I'm actually pretty acceptable. And then like as soon as there's something shiny or like a beer or somebody to talk to who I haven't seen in a while, I'm like done. I'm like completely not paying attention to what's happening in the game at all. Like JPEG, I'm just gone. Like my brain is 5 miles away. But if I'm actually paying attention, I can actually sometimes do okay. And my friends made me, they're like, Sydney, make a Gruul deck and just like do it and like try to play it. And it was so bad. It was like painful. I was like, guys, this deck chafes. Like this is what pain feels like.
Hey,
and it was.
Hey, I have to put it up for Gruul because guess what? That's the deck I first started with back in Unlimited.
Yeah, no judgment. It's not for me. Like I don't want to play in the.
Well, that was also because my brother didn't want green-red cards because they didn't have value back in Unlimited, and he's like, "Here you go, have some cards. Make a deck out of these."
So, Sydney, are you saying your arch nemesis would be a shiny sentient beer?
I wouldn't say arch nemesis. I'd say that would be like amazing.
Okay, your major distraction.
Done, and it would be bad. They'd be like, let's design the thing that will be like Sydney's greatest weakness, and yeah, it would be just like probably this like shiny sentient beer that had like a personality and like I don't know, nice eyes or something. And then like 5 years later, we'd be married. Like that's how that would work. Like this is my partner, giant sentient beer.
Now, would it be a draft beer or a bottled beer?
A draft. If you can go draft all the time. Draft all day.
Good.
I
approve.
Stout or IPAs? Stout or IPA?
Oh, God, you can take your IPAs and drown in hipster land. Ugh.
I mean, I'm equal opportunist, but I'm just asking.
Look, beer...
Once in a while, like, there's a pale ale that I can like, but honestly, I don't really understand the purpose of as many IPAs as we have. Like, guys, we have refrigeration. We're not the British in India. We don't need to put that money flipping hops in our goddamn beer to get them to India in, like, the 1800s, I promise.
This is a whole other kind of podcast.
I'm a food chemist, so, like, I can talk about, like, food and beer, like weird chemistry stuff for like just hours on hours.
It's fine. This is what we degenerate to. At some point in time, we lost topic, and it happens every time, and we'll never. And I eventually will rein us back in, and that is the process that will continue for all eternity when we come here.
No reining in. And by the way, that perfect sentient beer person would probably have a good head.
Oh my god.
But
again, what's more to want in life, really? I mean. Again, nice eyes and a personality and a good sense of humor, probably also good. Financial stability, maybe, but that's kind of overrated. So.
Well, if you need to, they could sell some of their self.
You can sell yourself.
I mean, no judgment. You do you. Whatever works, but...
All right, okay. Reining it back in once again. That's Archenemy Nicol Bolas. We totally talked about that somewhere along the line.
Somewhere in there.
I don't know anymore. So now I want to talk...
Kegman in the chat. I just have to say.
Yes, Kegman in the chat. All right, now we're going to go to a topic that I can sort of work on with Joe. Joe, have you looked up some things from the Stream of Annihilation at all?
I have not had a chance this week because I've been doing nothing but overtime.
Okay, I'll introduce some topics, and then you can totally like give your opinion on these. And if anybody else
your
wants
opinion of these as well, apparently.
and if anybody else wants to chime in, they can. Yeah. Okay. So, getting to some alternate types of news, because you know we've gone through our good magic news for now. I can totally do this on the fly because I'm able to update the stream that it says Dungeons and Dragons now instead of magic, because that's what we're talking about. Ha 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 ha.
Aha.
Look
Did
at you.
it update it to say giant sentient sparkling beer person when we were doing that?
It says it in the chat. Well, no, it does. Giant.
Hold on. I'm
Happy,
gonna make something like this and tweet it.
Giant sentient beer person. Please tag me at Tappy Toe Club.
I got you.
Oh, perfect.
I
Good.
just followed you just now.
Watch somebody show up. Somebody who's listening to this, please show up at GP Vegas in a giant sentient beer costume.
Done. I am a giant
Yeah,
sentient-ish person drinking a beer.
Oh my gosh, you guys are making me thirsty. Like when this is over, I'm gonna switch from coffee to beer because that's how I live my life.
You can always get beer-flavored coffee.
That's my favorite.
Or coffee-flavored beer.
Coffee flavored, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
that's-
I said it backwards.
One of these things does not work.
Try that, reverse it.
Annihilation, guys.
Yes, Tomb of Annihilation. We want to talk about the Tomb of Annihilation, which is announced at the Stream of Annihilation because Stream of Annihilation.
Oh no, we're being annihilated.
So, Tomb of Annihilation. It's the new game. Well, the new book that's coming out. Basic storyline we know about it because they had an entire what is it? Technically, it was 24 hours of streaming to announce just the. I mean, okay, they announced other things and did a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna go along with 24 hours of streaming was probably not the most necessary. Just gonna say.
Wasn't it 48 hours?
No, because they only did.
I thought it was 2 days. Oh, 2 days, 12 hours. That's
Yeah.
right. Never mind.
10 to 10 each day. So I'm just gonna say that about this entire thing. First off, we're just gonna leave it at that for now. All right. So a necromantic artifact called Soulmonger apparently is causing people to be sick and diseased or something, and your adventurers have to travel to Chult, which is a peninsula to the south filled with rainforest. It's very much like combination of South American rainforest with a little bit of African rainforest mix in with dinosaurs, and apparently yes, with dinosaurs, and now they're actually adding in zombies too, so there's talk of undead dinosaurs also possibly popping up. So hey, I mean, this is sounding wonderful. Oh,
Undead raptors.
yeah, undead raptors. And not only is it Christopher Perkins and a bunch of the people, apparently, which I don't know how many people really, like, I recognize this is interesting, but they had story consulting from Pendleton Ward, the person that who created Adventure Time.
Awesome.
I mean, if anybody's probably going to do something weird with undead vampires or undead dinosaurs, so.
Yes, I know.
Undead vampires.
Oh man, now all I can hope for if Pendleton Ward is involved is I want I've always wanted to do a D&D setting where I can incorporate that cat in the dungeon that has approximate knowledge of many things. Because that cat is, I shit you not, like an actual spirit animal. Like, the approximate knowledge of many things, I feel that. I can get behind that. That's how I live my life, basically. Between that and Google, I can figure just about anything out.
You're right there. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. That's my favorite episode.
But, so, this is very interesting. I mean, that's basically all we know about it, and it's going to be really cool to get out. And judging by its general price, I'm going to guess it's going to be as large as Curse of Strahd was, which me and Joe have been playing through. So, I mean...
yes, and we're currently 200 miles above Strahd's castle, falling
2 miles.
2 miles, sorry. 2 miles above Strahd's castle, falling through the air.
Good place to leave it.
It was the perfect place to leave it because they decided relying on the insane wizard for help, which they knew was insane, who they knew was horribly unreliable, for a way for them to, in quotations, fly up into the air, was a bad idea. Guess
Okay,
what?
in my defense, I was incredibly tired that night and was not thinking straight, or I probably would have checked the scroll, but I didn't. And yes, it ended up teleporting us 2 miles above the castle, which now we're free falling to.
Who has Featherfall?
No one. There's one option that I figured out that may or may not work. We all have potions of invulnerability.
So half damage.
And I have Dimension Door.
And we figured out with the rate of falling, he could totally Dimension Door one person into where they wanted to be at in the castle, which they would still hit the ground. And then Dimension Door out to catch the next one, because he has the ability to fly, and then teleport that person in. But the thing is, that one's momentum would still also be going, so everybody would at least...
Or just changes where you're traveling, not your momentum or your rate of...
Nope. They're still going to hit the ground, but he thinks he can get him into the castle.
So,
so we're not going to hit, like, the
stone floor of the castle, though.
Well, no, we're going to actually be teleporting into the catacombs. So at least it's an earthen floor. It's an earthen floor.
So is, the ground. People splash all the time.
But now we would be in the castle, and if we all survive,
if
we can rest in one of the tombs and heal up, and then we're already in where we want to go, and we don't even have to break in.
Well, at least when you splat on the floor, you'll already be in a tomb. You're making life easy for the grave grave manager who has to bury your splatted bodies. At least they're already.
The problem is he's in the part of the tomb that's like sealed off from the rest of the evil. So I mean, they're just gonna be sort of like sitting there. Oh, and actually, one of them will live because she has Parry off of Fluent Closure, so she automatically stabilizes at negatives, and a Ring of Regeneration. So one of them can't die from this. The others will.
And unfortunately, it's not the person who is cleric.
Nope. I'm so happy.
I hate you. I hate you so much. Doing that when I was half asleep.
I did that perfectly just fine whenever I wanted to do it. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna teleport you somewhere.
Anyway, getting back to Tomb of Annihilation, it does look like it's going to be interesting because we haven't played a lot in Chult. Chult's a place that, I think we've had games where we visited, had some fun adventures there, but it's such a unique location set in the Faerun universe. And that's the thing, though, is I feel like they are focusing a lot of their stories on the Forgotten Realms adventures / Faerun. And, it's cool, but, again, it's...
Sorry, I'm getting bombarded here.
I can see that.
Kid aggro! Kid aggro!
Keep going. It's their house too.
It's their house too. Yes, it's acceptable. So I feel like it's a very interesting storyline, and I'm expecting a lot from it. Is basically what I'm going to say about it. And the thing is, it does remind me of the Tomb of Horrors.
Yes.
It harkens me back to that, and I wonder how much is connected with that, because we just did have that coming out a little bit ago. So will it be very death trappy or not?
The ultimate death trap.
That was the Tomb of Horrors from 2nd edition.
This will be the ultimate death trap.
The ultimate-est.
I'm sorry, you can't, you've had a death trap where it's sort of like, have like 10 characters prepared, you're gonna go through them by the end of this adventure.
Hide behind the pile of dead bards.
It really was kind of like that, the Tomb of Horrors. I don't know how they've updated it for 5th edition, because I haven't seen Tales of the Yawning Portal yet, but... God. And the other big announcement that I'm very supporting, which other people might want to comment on, is they have Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Now, if any of you have played the board game Betrayal House on the Hill, it's one of my favorites. It's a semi-cooperative board game, which you're exploring a haunted mansion, and then at some point in time, one player becomes a traitor and tries to kill everyone else. And this is like a D&D themed version of it, which is like set in Baldur's Gate, which is very iconic. And I'm like, woo! I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully, what's the date on that one? Do you know? Did they say anything about it?
They're saying October.
Okay.
Which, I mean, because it does have very, horror... You always are going to have a little bit of a horror theme to it anyway, because it is betrayal.
Like, if I had to pick a time to release, like, a horror-themed game, it would be Halloween, so it makes sense.
Yeah, you're going to be, like... I guess it'll be, like, D&D themed a little bit more, that you're, like, because they're saying dark alleys and deadly catacombs, so, you know, it's like you're turning on somebody at some point in time and murdering them anyway, so...
Murder.
Well, it looks like they're splitting it up rather than, like, this, layers of a house. It's buildings, streets, and catacombs you explore. So that's kind of interesting.
Buildings and streets and catacombs. Oh, my.
I'm definitely going to have to see how it works differently, because it looks like... I don't know if you can actually use it with the original or not, just because of the nature of it. So
I would think not.
Yeah. It looks like it's its own themed version of the same... It's like... Which, I mean, usually when they have these themed versions of them, they change the rules enough. Like, Joe, like Star Trek Catan.
Yes.
Which is
I
very
love Star
different.
Trek Catan.
Or Star Trek Panic for Castle Panic. Both which were very different than the originals, enough that they're their own thing. So I'm hoping that's going to end up like that. It's the only thing I have to say about it. Definitely.
Yeah. When it's definitely fun, Betrayal is a lot of fun, so getting the same... It's always easy to pick up a game that has, like, kind of the same feel to it, because then, I mean, obviously there will be new rules to learn, but everyone kind of knows what they're getting into and about how you go about playing it, just obviously with the variant rules. So I'll be excited, because it's always good. We crack that one out a lot. My former roommate, that's one of her favorite games, so I'll probably end up playing that tonight, actually. She has, like, a get-together tonight, so that'll...
I'll have to readjust video as soon as John comes back, because apparently he disappeared.
Yeah!
But I was going to say about it is, it's one of my favorites that I don't get to play as much, because normally we don't have enough players, because oftentimes it can be just me and Joe.
Yeah.
We're back. Okay. Alright, now the other thing I wanted to talk about for Dungeons & Dragons before we move on to our last topic was the revised class options. For a while we were talking about unearthed arcana constantly because they're throwing it out all the time. Now it's once a month. And this one is it's just revised stuff they already had out. They put out 4 classes that they had before that they've revised. Druid of the Circle of the Shepherd, which I guess communes with spirits and beasts and fae. The Cavalier for Fighter, which is basically what exactly it sounds like. Oath of Conquest for Paladin, which is all about, conquest. And sometimes consorts with archdevils, so it's definitely maybe like a lawful neutral, lawful evil paladin. And the Celestial Warlock, because you want to connect with, like, greater beings.
And they also did Warlock Eldritch
Invocations. Yeah,
Invocations,
they updated a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you've used any of these in the past, they've updated them, and it's with suggestions by the viewer. That's just one of the things I love about the Unearthed Arcana.
Yes, they've been listening to us.
Yes. I know there isn't a lot to touch on with this one in particular. It's more or less I just want to be like, yes, we have this update. It's really cool. If you've used any of these, now you have an excuse to, like, look back and see how they've been updated. You have an opportunity that if you really wanted to play with them now, they've been tweaked so they're a little better, And warlocks are always cool. Just saying. Especially gnomish warlocks that, like, totally are goth and speak with the dead.
I have an entire family of gnomes that I have been known to create for, like, pickup games.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny, because it might be actually genetic, because my kid brother, who has never heard of my family of gnomes, played a game with his friends for, like, the first time. He's like, Cindy, I made this gnome, and he's like, an idiot. He has a whole family of idiot gnomes. I'm like, well, brother, let me tell you a thing.
We know,
I love gnomes.
Yeah, he loves gnomes, and I know of people that have created families of characters, because, what was it, the Gardner family, which, four different characters set in the same family by the one person, and the legacy of the characters is just, that's a story I'll have to tell.
Well, you have also my Lucian family.
You only did 2 of them. And Lucian III was wonderful because we replaced the Lupin III theme with Lucian III.
Lucian III!
Yes. I couldn't help it.
But, well, there is mention, though, when I did Lucian, what was it, the 5th then?
I don't know. You talked about doing it.
I did talk about the incarnation that was in between. I just never played it.
Lucian II? Yes.
Oh, yeah, it was Lucian, yeah, because that one was really weird. Because the third one was half... What was it? It was a were...
You were werebat.
It was a sea elf werebat.
Did someone say Lupian?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
But yes, sea elf werebat. And the second one was explained that how the third one came to be. But the first one still has the best quote of "Not in my ocean."
It was the worst quote ever. And you were throwing... Hey. Okay, we were disposing of the body of someone whose head got chopped off, and you threw their head back in the boat and said that.
Well, that's how my character was introduced, was I threw the head back into the boat, jumped up on deck, I'm like, not in my ocean.
You're the one that said that.
I know.
I said
that.
I know.
You don't dump bodies in my ocean, sir. Find your own ocean to do that in.
Anyway, so yes, updates now. Cool. All right, I want to talk about the last thing that we have on today's agenda before we move on to our normal, segments. Unlock Escape Adventures. So, yeah. It's a cooperative card game for 1 to 6 people that you have 60 minutes to solve a whole bunch of riddles. It's got a free companion app to help track time, that you can get hints from, get like special elements from that you might need, and it does include each box is its own basically escape room. Is the best way of saying it. And there are 3 out now that you can get, and they have very interesting themes. Let's see here. Let's get the... Yes. Come on, I'm gonna... You're not letting me get the theme names. You suck.
No theme names for you.
Oh, here it is. The Formula, Squeak and Sausage, and Island of Dr. Gorse.
Squeak.
Come again?
Okay.
All right.
It's a mouse carrying a sausage on the picture of it.
Okay, Squeak and Sausage, they say, it's a cartoon adventure where you stop the diabolical Professor No-Side from detonating his doomsday device. Get caught up in clever traps. And break out of his evil plot. Yeah.
With a sausage.
It's for younger audiences. They have an age sort of variety of them. I mean, the formula takes you to New York tunnels under the subways looking for a serum, and the Island of Dr. Gorse is very James Bondy.
Oh, yeah.
So, crash landing on the island of an eccentric billionaire and, trying to figure stuff out. And I think the advantage... There's always an advantage to the escape room, just because of the way it's set up, because it's a much larger thing, But...
And it's very immersive, too. Like, normally you'll have somebody running it who is kind of, like, doing a little bit of acting and coming along like that. But I can see the appeal of having, like, a game version of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, is I feel like you're not confined in with the idea of the room as much with that. And it's definitely, again, probably not as immersive, but it's something you could do at home. I mean, that's one of the advantage of it.
It kind of makes me, though, think of the escape, phone games and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be, like, if they'll have something included such that it'd be like, if you want to set up a party and do it this way kind of thing. 'Cause the way that it kind of reminds me of, like, doing this at home makes me a little bit reminiscent of, like, a murder mystery party. But I don't know if anybody's gotten to do those, but they're kind of fun. When you have all your friends and everybody gets assigned to a role, and then you do
I did one that I had bought in high school that I couldn't get enough people for. So it was how to host a teen murder that we didn't end up playing until about like 5 years ago.
Yes.
So
it was
you had
fun.
Under 30s playing how to host a teen murder.
It was fun.
It was fun, but it was definitely corny. Like, you had names like Howie Bledsoe.
Yeah.
We did a Julius Caesar themed toga party one. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Man.
this one was a vampire theme.
Caesar, though, they kind of like advertised that one pretty well.
Man, no, I do have to say, like, the how to host a murder thing it's along the similar lines, definitely. It's one of those things that it's a mystery, and mystery games can be fun, especially if they're very open-ended and you have to solve the problems for yourself. And I think that might be a little bit of a cutoff between the cards and the actual, like, game. I don't know, because we haven't seen, like, the full set of cards. It just came out, so I haven't bought it yet to be like, oh, here's how the game works. Also, I'm curious about possible replayability. That's the big question I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be some element of... I would assume what it is it's... I mean, again, I have no idea, also. I would assume it's got to have some kind of thing where you only use so many of the cards each time, and there's some kind of random element to it. But again, yeah, I can only imagine it being able to be played so many times.
Yeah, well, that's just like the one game that I got on Tabletop Day.
Uh-huh.
It's a mystery one. Time Stories.
Time Stories,
but,
yeah.
They have expansions for it, but once you really play through... Apparently, once you really, like, play through it and beat it, because you can play through it multiple times, they have... until you beat it. Once you do beat it, though, it's what path you would know what path to go through again the next time. So unless you get the next expansion, it doesn't have a lot of replayability.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, there are games like that now, which are still fun, but I always look to the question: is it worth it monetarily? Now, granted,
Right.
if you have a lot of extra cash, then maybe it's like something you really want to do. Fine by you, but for me, who doesn't?
You have to look at the price point, like you're saying. Does the price point equal the amount of fun you're going to get out of it if it's not really replayable?
Or is it the kind of thing that you should, like, go to a convention, sit down for 4 hours, play this game there, and then not buy it, kind of thing? It's like a thing that you should do at, like, a game store where they're going to have, like, an event to do it and try it, and then that's all you need to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely have questions about the replayability, and that's a great question, Eliza. Could it modify the rules and remake the scenario? I'm sure you could do stuff to tweak it, and that's what we're thinking they might have within the rules, like little tweaks and stuff you can do, which probably will help. But how?
But when you solve a puzzle, you know how to solve that puzzle.
Yeah.
If the card is showing you what the puzzle is.
Yeah. Like for example, if we would go to that escape room we went to last night, granted, I don't think we would be still super fast because you're memorizing everything, but I automatically know how to get through most of the puzzles because we talked about it a little bit. I know where to start from. So
and that's one of the reasons that the escape rooms are kind of pricey, is because they turn those things around really quick. They only have one scenario set up for maybe a month, and they usually, normally when they do it, they have 3 or 4 different scenarios that they do, and they have them for about a month or 2, and then they cycle them out because obviously it's only good for one. I mean, even you can make the argument that I don't know if when you guys did your escape room, if they told you what the success rate is. Usually I've heard it said that it's about 20%. It's about 20% success versus fail. I have a feeling that might be a slightly if I was running an escape room, I would tell people that the rates for success were lower than they were, because then when people succeed, they feel better about themselves. Just from a marketing standpoint, that's how I would do it. But assumedly, I've failed them before. So when we've done them for work, and you don't have like a designated group of people who know what they're doing, they're definitely failable. But I can maybe see, depending on how far you were in when you failed, that could maybe be replayable. But I think for the most part, the appeal of the escape rooms is the fact that they cycle them out and they have such a turnaround on them. So I am not sure how. I'm curious about it. I'll probably get it for my brother if it's any good, because he loves escape rooms. But I'm a little bit concerned about how many times you can do this.
Yeah, that's definitely the big concern I have about this game. That is it replayable? And unfortunately, until we actually get it, I don't know if we'll find out.
Yeah, it might be one of those ones where you excuse me, where you just have to keep buying either little updates or buy the next buy the next expansion, play through that one, and then maybe gift it to someone else who hasn't played it.
Now, the only advantage I have to say about these is they're pricing them $15, and that's not a bad price. For sometimes
not at all.
Board games can get pretty expensive, so
these are cards, right? So production costs probably aren't too high.
No, they aren't too high at all. Which means I definitely can see that maybe that the price point is one of those saving graces if it does have less replayability. So. Yeah.
Because we were talking about before we actually started recording. Escape rooms are between $20 and $40 a run anyway. So what you're paying for 15 people to sit around a coffee table and play it is way less than what you'd pay for an entire group to go through one. But again, it's less immersive, and you don't have the whole experience. You just have the cards. So
yeah.
But it definitely would be, if it has zero replayability, it's definitely if you get 6 people together and they're well, we can't afford an escape room. Do you want to buy a pack of things and have an experience similar to one? Close enough. It's only $15.
You can probably drink while you do this one, so that's a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
make martinis while you're doing the James Bond one. I could get behind that.
Can I just out myself right now and just tell everyone that I've never seen a James Bond movie?
Shame! 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 Shame!
The closest to James Bond movie I ever seen was the Austin Powers movie.
Yes!
You can shame both of them. Now, I've only seen a few of the classics, and I saw most of the modern day ones. Since, what's his face? GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the first one I saw in full, and I've seen, 2 of the originals, one of Sean Connery and one of what's his face, I can't remember.
Roger Moore?
Yeah, one of Roger Moore's.
I've seen. You have to say Sean Connery
is maybe the best Bond movie ever.
I wanted to see Moonraker because it's so ridiculous, and I remember playing them.
Is probably the worst one. That was the one that we didn't have in DVD and tape when we were growing up. I was raised on Bond movies, so we had an entire wall of all the Bond movies, and Moonraker was the only one that we did not buy on the super extended DVD of the reformatted one.
I want that because I remember playing the Moonraker levels in the GoldenEye video game. So,
yeah, when you were tilting the cartridge to make them do the Don thing.
God, yeah.
Plus, you love bad movies.
I remember the internet in the 90s.
I have entertained greatly by bad movies. Yes, so.
Yeah, you'll like Moonraker then. Honestly, Austin Powers does. As much as I was making fun of you guys earlier, again, no judgment, but you should definitely watch Bond. Sure. But James Bond does a great job, or Austin Powers does an amazing job of making fun of Moonraker. That's basically all you need to know about Moonraker is the insanity that's
All right, so that's unlocked.
I used to play GoldenEye a lot on N64, if that counts.
That counts for something.
It does count for something. Though I still say, unfortunately, when Perfect Dark came out, I preferred it. I'm sorry, they improved upon their formula for the multiplayer.
Perfect Dark was a better game. It had better gameplay.
That's true.
Yeah, I like GoldenEye. We played it a lot.
But
I'm the lowest man on the totem pole because I have not played any of the games or seen any of the movies.
Quick, we'll just slap him here. Slap him a bunch of times. All right. So, why don't we move on to stories from the table before we get too late into the day? where we have mostly our guests share some stories from the gaming table that they have, and sometimes me and Joe will also share stories, which I kind of feel like there's one that we want to share a little bit of, but we'll do that afterwards. So why don't we start with you, Cindy? Any kind of gaming type table, from a role-playing game to Magic deck to awesome Magic game to even those epic tales of a board game that went crazy, you know?
Yeah, oh man, now that I'm put on the spot, you know, it's one of those things where you definitely have like a billion, and you probably told me this, you're like, this is probably what we do at the end, and I was like, yeah, I got a million of them.
I mentioned it.
Oh man, dude, somebody else go first. I'll think of one. I'll do it, but
Okay.
give me like
Sean, you got something cool and new for us from last time?
He said you go first, man. Now I'm trying to think.
Fine. Fine.
Like,
I'll share the one I want to share, which is technically it's not a tale of mine. It's a tale that me and Joe can share together. The tale of Frederick Gardner.
Oh,
Frederick
God. No.
Frederick Gardner, who heard stories from his mighty inspiration, Johnny Thorbert, of his epic tales of adventure. And Johnny Thorbert was probably like a second-level rogue or bard and didn't actually have any combat abilities. But Frederick's heard of that and decided to move away from his gardening lifestyle with his family and head to the big city for adventure. And along the way, he met Sheriff Valinor that, like, I think I was a drow with 3 class levels, and went in an epic tale. And Frederick Gardner would do such great things as when we were being attacked on another ship by a ship of undead, he would literally take out his weapon and cut his way through undead, taking steps across the gangplank, entering the other ships, and going on to the other ship, just swath, step forward, never stopping.
But the most important thing about Fredericks was when you heard him start to go, well, you ran away. Because you know it was going to be a horrible tale about Johnny Thorbert.
Especially that time he fought the Knuckle-Avy.
Not the Knuckle-Avy.
Yes, that tale of the time Johnny Thorbert fought the Knuckle-Avy. And then he met Rosie, our ship's medic, who was really just like a random bar woman we hired to be a medic for the ship because it was a great idea. And then eventually would get married and settle down and have kids, but that's the end of the story. And then there was that time that Johnny Thorbert fought an army of the undead by himself and was swafting through it until he managed to somehow, by minuscule chance, hear the wail of a death siren. And then he died to it, of course. That one time. And we brought him back, of course, because you can't keep a good living blender down. And then eventually the city we saved from the 5 armies of doom, including the army of the undead, he became the mayor of, and settled down and had a dynasty. And he came back as a ghost later on, just to annoy us.
Which, then we had the debate of...
Oh, God.
First we had a debate of if ghosts... Because the ghosts wanted to eat breakfast with us. Sorry, we don't have any +1 eggs. Because third edition Dungeons and Dragons, you needed +1 for ghosts to interact with it. So then we had the debate of which came first, the +1 egg or the +1 chicken.
Got there.
And we have to thank John. All right. Frederick Gardner, we shall always remember you for being the straight man in the group and also the living blender that kept us going through the endless amounts of murder that was required.
And then your family members joining in different adventures.
The dynasty of the Gardners will always live on for the ridiculousness of them.
Yes.
All right, so John, you ready for your story then?
Yeah, I got mine.
Okay.
All right. So in honor of the Dark Tower movie finally coming out.
Yes.
In a couple, next month? In August. Guys, this is my Star Wars. I am the biggest Dark Tower nerd on the face of the
Idris Elba. Oh God,
Oh my God, all the things, right? Talk about right? They talk about Idris Elba for Bond. If he's Bond, I'll watch Bond movies.
Oh my God, right? That would be my life.
Right.
So good.
So in honor of that, and I'm just so happy that it's finally happening. Magic movie. I'm looking at you next, but I digress. I did when in my DMing days, which were maybe like a week, as I say, days. I did make a campaign around the gunslinger, having my party kind of meet up with Roland and the quartet at the base of the Dark Tower in the Field of Roses. That was a lot of fun, but trying to keep all my players away from just trying to grab Roland's guns was kind of a hard thing to do. So they kind of unraveled on me, but I'm glad that it happened. I love the Dark Tower, and if I can make a tabletop game around that, or a good Dark Tower video game, I would. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We can only hope that with the advent of the movie, something happens, though unfortunately I can't guarantee it, because there's oftentimes bad things that come out with the movies then. Unfortunately.
Right.
We'll see.
I have, at the very least, I feel like the visuals have to be good, because from what we've seen, they look really good. Also, I can look at Idris Elba for a while, so I mean, worst case scenario. At least it looks nice. So that would be kind of awesome. So,
right?
I'm totally pathetic. I actually cannot tell you the last time that I like sat down and played tabletop, mostly because I do this stupid thing called cosplay, which like sucks all of my money and time out of the bank, because apparently I didn't want to do drugs, so I wanted to find stuff.
Hey, Magic counts as tabletop. Collectible card games are part of it.
It does. There's like, I feel like there's less like fun stories about like Magic, just because it is funny though when I cosplay Jace and people like want to play Magic with me. I'm like, dudes, you guys don't want to play Magic against me. I'm actually like quite bad. Also, I have gloves on and I can't move cards. So
what was it? Just go tangent there for a second. The picture of someone in the Tezzeret costume with the big claw trying to do magic or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Something like, no, and that's normally exactly what it is, because I have 2 Magic costumes right now. Well, I mean, I guess I have a big giant Nib Mizzet Kigurumi too, which I was maybe considering wearing, but it's like 98 and like nasty in the middle of it. So fleece dragon pajamas were a no-go today. Also, I feel like still have enough Is It stuff, so we're good. No, and because I'm always in like a weird costume, so I'm either in Jace, who has gloves. Or I'm in Nahiri and my fingers are like, my hands are painted. So, and I mean, I'm not like one of those like homestuck 12-year-olds. I seal my paint and I prime it and everything. So I'm not like leaving paint everywhere, but I don't want to like touch cards and do that. I mean, they're sleeved, yeah, but still, like I do have like money cards. I obviously don't want to do that. I did actually, I did do a fair amount of gaming in college. I was the president of our like tabletop thing for a while, just because nobody else wanted to do it and I didn't want it to like die. So we definitely still made it happen. For a while, too, I was on this, like, drow kick in college for the longest time. I think it was just because, like, all my friends were super into Driz, and I, like, read the book, and I'm like, guys, what the fuck is the appeal here? Like, I can't. I hate this character. I want to, like, punt him to the moon. Like, the next time somebody tries to convince me that Driz is some kind of badass, I'm gonna have to, like, prepare a rant. Personal affectation can't do it, but I was like playing drows for a while. I think it was because I liked drawing them. Like I was like doing all this like art and stuff, and a lot of it was like drows. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll just do drows for a long time. And so I had this streak that for like I think it was like 3 campaigns in a row we had this issue with drows and tentacles, and it just became this thing. And everyone was like, "So Sydney, you have a drow? Is it gonna?" I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, I don't know what it was, and it wasn't even my fault because I wasn't DMing anything. But it was just this consistent thing where anytime I played a drow, it would like get attacked by tentacles. Like it was like equal opportunity tentacles too. Like sometimes just like sometimes it was literally the roll of the dice. Like we would summon random animals and go to the random animal table, and it would fucking be like an octopus, and it wasn't even anything that like actually has any kind of chance of hurting this character, because I think at this point we were playing it, and it was like, I mean, we were like fucking 6th level characters, but this octopus just got summoned because like a spell went wrong, and of course we rolled flippin' dice. It was a flippin' octopus on a table of 100 possible things. It was an octopus, and in a campaign of 5 characters, we also rolled dice, and guess which character the octopus fell on? The flippin' drow. And it was like every time. The best part about this whole story is I always play male drow too, so like I guess they're elves, so they're still kind of like feminine, I guess. I just like male drow because like I feel like in any kind of situation where you have like a heavily shifted like gender dichotomy, it's kind of more interesting to play like the less like the gender that kind of gets like shit on more. Also, generally you're not playing like in Underdark, you're playing like somewhere else. So like I don't know. I feel like if drows are gonna leave Underdark, they're probably gonna be dude drows, because I feel like if I was a lady drow and I had like this awesome like drow place where like all these dudes just had to do whatever I wanted, I probably wouldn't leave. Like that seems kind of cool. Not afraid of spells, kind of like the dark. Like I'm kind of pale and pasty anyway. I'm in a basement right now, so I mean, doesn't seem bad provided there are apparently no tentacles around. So.
You reminded me of one of the quotes that I think Joe said it for one of our games, was like, it's a family game. Now go fight the giant tentacle monster.
Yeah, that was basically what we were dealing with for the longest time. And it was just constant. It was every flipping time. And it was different DMs too, like people who didn't even know things. And then I would like start cackling because there was, you know, like a Kraken tremor sense, and of course it was like my freaking drow leg that the Kraken grabbed onto, and I'm just like, really, guys? Like, flipping, really? Like, oh my gosh, every single time. And eventually I made a drow, and I had like I made a ranger, and I had like one of those dark mantle pets, which is, you know, those things that hang in Underdark and they like drop onto people. Because I wanted an exotic pet and I just wanted it to be different. And so it was like this dark mantle thing that would like, you know, be on the ceiling and it could like drop down and like get people. And people are always trying to like make me like do things with it in combat. And I was like, no, it basically is just like on his shoulders and it's a cape with tentacles. It's a fashion statement, not a pet.
Like a face hugger?
Hmm?
Like a face hugger?
No, it's I think it is called a dark mantle. So
Yeah, dark mantles.
I mean, they're like that. So
mantle.
they look like stalactites, where they're like on the ceiling and then they drop down and they have like they look like a vampire squid kind of, or a vampire squid.
Yeah.
So they're pretty cool, but yeah, it basically just became like his tentacle cape. Like it didn't do anything. It just like it was like it like, because it was a dark mantle, and I'm like, oh, it'll be like a mantle, like a freaking like part of his costume. And then it was just this like tentacle cape, and it was amazing. It never did anything until at some point, of course, the party gets like captured and all our weapons get taken away. But I still have this like tentacle cape, right? So then like this thing is like still there and definitely just like eats this dude's face, and then all the party gets away. And then of course my like silly like dark mantle thing though like died in its attempt to like get us out of this like, prison thing, and then everybody had like a sad like moratorium like funeral service for the dark mantle, and then Varna like constructed, like we found like an artificer. That was like the next part of the party. I'm like, dude, my drow is a little upset like that his like tentacle cape is gone, and you're gonna have to fix it. So we had to like track down an artificer to actually like make him a flippin' tentacle cape, that one that would actually like be like super cool. So now my drow has like a plus like a gajillion like tentacle cape because we like went out and found one, and the DM's like, guys, that's not, go like do what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, guys, no, this is a shopping trip. We need a flippin' tentacle cape. Nothing is happening until the tentacle cape gets made. I don't care what artificer we have to find, we're gonna find one. The DM's like, well, I don't have one written in. I'm like, well, then you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in the next campaign we do, I'm going to actually just like, we're gonna have like a get together of some of our old like college people who played, so all these old inside jokes are kind of running, and I think I'm gonna make a character because we're gonna do it in like a cycle, in like bits where everybody gets to DM like a part of it, so that everybody also gets to play a character in it. And I think the part that I'm going to DM is I'm going to run like a tentacle porn drow or of it, because that will apparently that's my lot in life. Apparently that is my true calling.
You should do a Cthulhian adventure.
There you go.
Then you'd have tentacles aplenty.
I'm
Make
sorry.
it, like,
The only thing I could say about Dark Mantles is, though, I can never forget the second D&D movie with where they're like, Dark Mantles!
yeah.
It's like, what? Dark Mantles? The fact about Dark Mantles, it's as much as like it was very fun for your story, it's like, they're so rarely used. So rarely used.
Well, nobody checks the ceiling, so.
I love that, though. That's one of those problems. It's like, you know, it's like no one checks the ceiling. It's like oftentimes, like, you'll be like doing it's like, I put something on the ceiling. No one checks it. Oh, well, you get screwed. You know, it's like, no one looks up. All right. Why don't we move on to our last subject for today, which I'm like blanking out on here. So I'm hoping someone from chat or one of you folks has gaming sage advice. Because, so it's a question from either the audience or someone that's going to help out folks in the tabletop world kind of develop themselves to get themselves better. I could throw something together. How about, though, we see if anybody has one? Anybody in chat? Or Joe, John, Sydney, any of you have one?
I'm just going to say going to GP Vegas. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say go to GP Vegas and wear a giant costume, and I will be your friend. That was going to be my gaming stage advice.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, you know, reporting from the ground here in Vegas where it's 1,000,000 degrees, please be sure to stay hydrated, stay fed. It's going to be, you know, we don't need people. Every year at EDC, we have at least two fatalities just from dehydration, and usually those are at night, so... Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what we can release in the statements, right? But at GP Vegas, it's going to be in the day. It's seriously going to be like 110 degrees. So just stay super hydrated. Bring enough money for food because it's going to be hard to get in and out of the convention area. Yeah, and just that's my sage-like advice because I don't want to see a dead body.
But
Matt, I got you a question.
Well, that actually, I had one from that, but you can ask yours first. You know,
I was gonna say, what is your favorite little used monster from D&D?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I'll come to that in a second, but I was going to do that for the big advice, which I thought would be very useful. Is if you're traveling somewhere for some kind of event or convention, find out the weather where you're going. If it's hot, if it's cold.
Especially if you're gonna wear your flippin' Jace costume, Sydney, who has passed out in her Jace costume, by the way. I've done that. Been there, done that.
Yeah, easy for Vegas. It's fucking hot. Sorry.
Yes.
No,
so,
at least it's not August yet.
That is also why I only ever stay at a hotel that's attached to the convention center. Because once I'm in costume, I'm not going outside. Like this, just not with a period. Just not happening until the sun is down and it is not so flippin' hot.
Yes.
I don't want to melt in Jace because I will otherwise.
Yes.
I was doing so good with the language too.
or if you're going winter to going up to Boston or something, dress warm. Dress warm or cold. Prepare the right materials. Be ready with water or whatever. Be ready with water wherever you go because if you're being active, even in the cold, you're gonna need it. So be ready for whatever event you're going to. Be smart about it, and there are plenty of great events.
Also, can I do a thing as the obligatory girl in the chat?
Yeah.
Also, when you're going to an event and you're gonna be there for several days, guys, lots of water, 2 meals a day, 6 hours of sleep, and a shower. Please, it's gonna be hot, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Trust me, shower.
And lots of deodorant.
Lots of deodorant, lots of soap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so why don't we move on to Joe's question because that we brought in for favorite little used monster. God, what do I use that's little used in actual where you talk about it? The monster.
I'm not super into the D&D community, so watch me my little used monster is one that everybody uses. But
that'd be fine too. I mean, it's I guess the one that I actually have used before out of the little used ones, I'd say would be probably the Flump. I mean, no one remembers that's actually good.
Yeah, and they normally run away.
Yes, they run away. Hey, Elise, I use owlbears all the time because owlbears rule.
We had in our first college campaign, we had a monk who was literally the guy made his monk to be a grappler, and he almost died grappling to owlbears because of how many force he rolled. So owlbears still send Joey into fits of rage.
Okay.
I was gonna go Flump as well, but since you took Flump, I will go Cloaked Ape.
Cloaked Ape, no one in their right mind has ever used that one. It's not even a classic. It's something 3rd edition brought in and decided was going to be an actual monster. Flump
it's
at least...
a little monster, though.
Fine, yeah. Flump at least has excuse of being in 1st edition. Cloakers, Chokers, and, of course, Dark Mantles are the other 3 I could name.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I never really used Dark Mantles until I had to appropriate one for a fashion choice, so... No,
Yep.
there was that.
Yep, that's a perfect one.
My favorite monster by far are Displacer Beasts, because they're giant purple tentacle cats, and that is pretty the raddest shit ever. So I don't know, I think maybe everybody uses them, because how could you not want to, like, have a giant purple tentacle cat to fight? So
That bamf around.
And it's got 6 legs, I think? 6-legged?
Yep. 6 legs and then the tentacles. So the other thing about the Displacer Beasts is, I don't know if anybody else is like a super Potterhead like I am, but the new Harry Potter houses that are the American houses, one of them is the Wampus, which no one can convince me is not a Displacer Beast, because it looks exactly like Displacer Beast. It's got the 6 legs and the tentacles. Also, I'm House Wampus, so I'm House Displacer Beast, and that's pretty, like...
If it's unfortunately it's not here, but I could go pull out from my D&D miniatures collection. I have both normal Displacer Beast and huge Displacer Beast.
Yeah, I have both of those, too. Those are the only 2 minis I have, because I love Displacer Beast.
I also have, of course, Colossal Red Dragon, because you know what? It's not a mini anymore. It's Colossal Red Dragon.
It's what?
Yeah, it's like a couple feet. It's like 1.5 feet tall, and you're like putting it down on the board. And you're like, this is what you're facing against. Behold, it's mighty. Behold, its might. It shall crush you.
But it's still not as good as the Scooby-Doo Elementals.
Oh my god, yes, the Scooby-Doo Elementals. Especially the Water Elemental, which looks like a Scooby-Doo monster and is flipping people off.
Yes.
Awesome.
If you see its hand, it's got like all of its fingers except one down, you know, so it's got like its hand out, so it's got it like down, sort of like, it's not even like pointing it up, it's like kind of like got its arms hunched out, you know, like, and got the one finger like out, so it's like walking around with like, you know, ready to flip out the middle finger at someone.
If it wasn't for these damn adventurists, I would have gotten away with it.
I know. But you can't make a miniature for like a fire elemental or a water elemental very easily, and not or an air elemental. They look so stupid, but
well, air elemental, you can just do the base and be like, it's air.
God, I think that was even Invisible Stalker. At least they made like one of those like semi-translucent plastic, so it looked like something, because they're like, we don't want it to be like nothing, because then we're just dicking with you.
Then we just send you a base.
Yeah. Oh, God. D&D miniatures. I still have to finish my collection. Someday.
So, John, what is your favorite little used monster?
And anything, we'll say now.
Well, I have 4 children, so... no, but anything that resembles... If I ever got back to D&D, I would definitely want to do... What is it called? The Dark Mantle? So anything that is kind of facehugger-ish. I'm a big Alien fan. I would go for that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I think another one that would probably be the Choker, because it's kind of got like almost like kind of tentacly hands, and it chokes people out, you know, by kind of like putting its hands around the face and mouth.
Men?
No.
No, well, technically you could get that a little bit from mind flares too, because what do they have? Little tadpoles that they drop into people's ears, which eat their way into their brains and then replace their heads.
There we go.
Fish. I mean, tadpoles.
Yeah, the little tadpoles.
I'm gonna make a
like burrow into people's
amalgamation
brain,
of all of this.
like replaces the brain and then like just changes it into them. Like, because the fact is, if you actually look at the life cycle of mind flares, it's horrifying. Horrifying.
Yeah, it's like parasitics. They have like a multi-part life cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I can also think of another monster we rarely use, but it's actually really useful, which would be a rust monster.
Ooh, the rust monster, yeah.
It's a very nice sword you have. It'd be a shame if something happened.
Look at that new armor that you found.
That's the only thing is like... Sometimes it feels too much like, because I've been a player, of being a dick. You know, sort of like destroying people's stuff. Because I know how much people can get attached to stuff.
Is it like the equivalent to land destruction in Magic?
Yes, it's exactly like that. It's something that deteriorates metal armor and weapons into nothingness and destroys them. So it's sort of like,
Don't be that guy, right?
Yeah. So sometimes you get the game master that's going to have you fight a rust monster.
Primordial somewhere else.
Right.
Or there's also the most dickish monster, the Mimic.
Hey, I love mimics, especially because what was it? My favorite one that I've done recently is the door mimic. It's like, I want to open this door. Oh crap! I'm fighting something.
It envelops your hand.
Yeah, you're stuck to it.
What?
Door mimic. All right, so that's, I think, it for today. We've had some great conversations. We've talked about some cool topics from Magic to Dungeons & Dragons and beyond, and shared some stories from the table, and I'm hoping our strange bits of advice, at least on travel and monsters that we liked, will help you along the way for if you want to both travel and be safe and or use some unusual monsters in your role-playing games. And Elysia does suggest Doppelganger, which, yes, oh my god, I don't use the Doppelganger very much either.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to use the Doppelganger. But, so, why don't we go around and we have people promote stuff? Why don't we start with just below me on the screen? John, why don't we start with you, because I'm going to go counterclockwise this time? Sure.
Sure. My name is John Dunning. You can find me on Twitter at OrzovDunn. You can find me at the They Said We Said Facebook group. That's They Said We Said is the YouTube channel. I do a Magic the Gathering talk show, kind of like the Tonight Show version for the community. At least that's what I'm going for, called The Hive Mind. Latest episode, like I said earlier, I had the Magic Man Sam. That just dropped on Friday. You can find me. I live in Vegas, so, and unfortunately, I'll probably be going to GP Vegas the least amount, as, you know, opposed to everyone that's traveling in. But I will be there by myself on Wednesday, apparently. So
someone will be there. We'll find someone for you.
Right, please.
Someday your prince will come.
What's that?
I said someday your prince will come.
Someday your prince
I
will
know.
come. Yeah.
Someday.
Go find John and give him a beer.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, please. But I might make an appearance Thursday too, just to see all the craziness. So yeah, come to GP Vegas. Yeah, and that's it.
Okay. Sydney.
Oh. All right. Well, I am Sydney, or I'm on Facebook as Velociraptor cosplay because I think I'm funny. You can also find me on Twitter at Tappy Toe Claws because somebody else already has Velociraptor because I was late to the Twitter game. I'm also doing the whole GP Vegas thing, which again is like amazing and crazy. So come find me at GP Vegas and buy me a beer. I like beer. You can also find my like local convention group kind of thinger on Facebook as X-Geek. So we're like the local kind of Midwest con media people. And yep, that's basically, I think that's everything. So, yes, but come find me at Vegas, buy me a beer, or wear the giant beer costume, because that would be awesome.
Cool. Joe, I mean, it's kind of what
I pimp you out.
Yes, it's true. It's what I have you here around for. Pimp.
To be your pimp, okay.
No, not to be my pimp, to pimp for me as my servant. Go, show us off.
No, I'm pimping you.
Show us off, cretin. Go ahead.
Weirdest plug ever.
I'm going to be at your house tonight. I will pimp slap you. Anyway, see us tomorrow at 4 o'clock for our D&D live stream.
Treasure the Lost Legion.
Yes. Thank you, because I know I was going to probably say Legend of the Lost Legion again.
You never get it right, and I understand that. I've accepted that.
It's like you and Grand Prix.
I'll get it right occasionally.
Grand Prix of the Lost Legion?
Yes.
For more interesting adventures there, and us trying to escape from a weird underground place. And playing with weird technology that the gnome loves to just fiddle with, and sometimes turns out bad.
Also, always turns out bad.
Not always. I extended the bridge from inside a floating island. That was a good thing. And then again next weekend on Saturday for more stream here.
Yes. Cool. And of course, you can find me in most of my links down below. My YouTube channel, my Patreon. You'll find me here tomorrow for Treasure Lost Legion, and later on in the evening, probably for some kind of video games. I don't know what I'll be streaming. Something at some point in time, because I always do. And of course, yep, I think that's it for today. What?
Actually, I have one last thing.
Oh!
A pimp for myself, slightly.
Ooh.
So I'm doing a Rocky Horror Picture Show midnight showing in Philly, and I will be dressing up as Eddie So I will put a couple pictures probably up on my Twitter. So if you want to see that, check it out.
Yes, there you go. Hey, you can check him out as Eddie from Rocky Horror Picture. He's already shaved for it. He's prepared.
Yes, I miss it already. It feels weird. I haven't shaved everything off in like 8 years.
Every time I do it, I look like I'm like 12, so I just stopped doing it. I clip my beard.
I look younger. I will say that.
I look too young, so clip it. Clip it only. Too young. Nope. Anyway, all right, everyone. I hope you had a great time at the show here. Thank you to all my guests, and we'll see you next. Me and Joe will see you next week, and hopefully, maybe John. Of course, you know, since you're a regular guest, we can hope you on again. And Sydney, we hope we can get you on another time in the future too, because you were fun to have. So
I can probably be persuaded.
All right, everyone. Have a good one, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.